Welcome to the Sound Mind Strategy Podcast with your host, Evan
and Anina Blankenship.
This podcast is aimed to be an in-depth discussion between husband and wife power couple where we take on challenging topics in the mental health and wellness arena.
By trade and training, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, certified professional coactive coach, USA Cycling National Champion, and I love to push my limits both physically and mentally.
As for me, I am currently in a master's program for sport and performance psychology, where I'm also on track to become a certified mental performance consultant. I've also been coaching athletes for the last 5 years, helping them reach their truest potential.
We're both very passionate about athletic performance, mental skills training, spirituality, and we love to take a holistic approach to helping people find harmony in their mind, body, and spirit.
We believe that there's greatness inside of everyone. Our mission and the mission of this podcast is to help you unlock and operate within yours. Hello, everybody. Welcome back or welcome to the Sound Mind Strategies Podcast. This is episode number 11. This is your host, Evan, and I'm with my lovely wife, Anina.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm kind of fighting some nausea, but this is a good distraction that we're doing this today, so it is helpful.
Yeah, I guess we don't really have any new news as far as everything going, but maybe we can just do a little check-in with mom, baby. How you doing? How's everything going?
Yeah, it's kind of just every day is different, but yeah, it's still just kind of some of that nausea with the pregnancy. I'm in week 10 today, but I know I said this before, and I've been told it multiple times, like, this is a good thing that you're having this because it means hormones are where they should be, and it's a healthy thing to feel this way. So I keep trying to reframe that in my mind that this is healthy, this is okay, and it does help some days. But sometimes, it's just easier to go take a nap or just lay low for a little bit. So
yeah, it's kind of been difficult for me. Well, not difficult, but I'm like, well, I guess it's good. You haven't actually been getting sick, but you do have those waves of not feeling well. Mm-hmm. And, it's just like, I really don't have anything to compare it to, or I don't feel anything. So it's just, I try to tiptoe around that and just, what can I do to help? Are you doing okay? So
yeah, you do good.
Well, that's good. New news is coming, I guess, soon. I guess every week from here on out, we'll probably have more information. So that's really great.
Yes.
It's been fun reading those books that we kind of talked about last week, just to hear about the growth and the development and how fast little baby's growing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's amazing. So many developments happening. It's really cool.
Yeah, so what we're at about the size, around 2 inches, I think is where we're at. And eyelids and fingers and toes and eyes and ears and all of it. Yeah, it's amazing.
We're all developing. Yeah, it's really neat. I know I have my doctor's appointment this Wednesday, so I'm hoping to hear the heartbeat again, and we're going to record it so we have it.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
File.
Yeah, that'll be good.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah, so any weird cravings? I know that's one of the big things about pregnancy. Everyone thinks about that, like
the crazy pickle and ice cream and all that wild stuff. No. Not really. I mean, nothing from the norm, I guess. It's pretty normal food.
Are you more instead of craving, more along the lines of aversion of food?
Exactly. That's more what it is for me. There's different foods and I'm just like, oh my gosh, no. Or different smells,
Stuff that you used to love and really that was one of your staples, and now it's a no thank you item.
Exactly. It's almost like everything that I liked before pregnancy, I feel like the week before or something, I'm just totally disgusted by. I know, I was telling you about those new candles, and I normally like that smell. And when we came home today, I had to put them all in the drawer because I'm like, these make me feel so ill right now.
Yeah. I know I was going to be all nice and light a candle, and she goes, not that one. I was like, okay, all right.
I need some new candles.
Yeah, so that's cool. House hunting still going full effect.
Yes.
We are kind of picky. I guess people that know us know that we're kind of picky. We're in a weird predicament. We have very nice taste, but not a ton of cash to spend on it. So,
right.
But that's fun. But no, it's great. We're working with great realtor that's really helping us out. And but we're just taking our time. I know God's going to provide the right house in the right time.
Yes.
We're in a great spot now. We're really no complaints. But it would be good to get back into owning a home again. So, anyone who knows of anything,
Right.
we're kind of we
Let us know.
love the area we're at. We really like U City and some of the surrounding neighborhoods
Of St. Louis.
of St. Louis, and we're also really liking Edwardsville, Glen Carbon area too. Back across the river, back in Illinois. So,
yeah.
anyone knows of anything, feel free to shoot us a line or send us something.
Yes.
That'd be great. How was your 4th?
It was nice. I kind of just waited for you to stroll on in from your long ride, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I kind of got.
Tell us about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of threw this out at work, just some different ideas of what we're gonna do, and I was like, I might ride back to Decatur from St. Louis. So I think it's about 170 miles or so if you take like back roads, bicycle ways, and we were talking like, well, you can't just do that. Like you gotta, 1776. We're celebrating America's birthday here,
Right.
So I did that. I tacked on a few extra miles and ended up at 177.6 miles. I had to hit pause on the computer, on the bicycling computer, take a photo of it, and then upload it to Strava. Most people are familiar with Strava. If you're not, it's just a social media place where people show their rides and runs and swims and different workouts. And of course, they did this really weird rounding thing where it didn't show my 177.6. It was 177.58 or something like that. But I had extra miles. I had to do another 4 miles to get back to the house that we were going to. So it was a good, long, fun day.
Yeah, it was
got
good.
Warm.
Yeah, you did great. You did a really good job. You still managed to.
Needless to say, I did not stay awake for fireworks that evening.
Right.
Yeah, I was pretty tired.
Pretty conked out. Yes, it was quite the achievement.
Yeah, so that kind of just got us thinking. Like we had a really good weekend, just kind of low key, just able to relax. Once I got there, the rest of the weekend was nice. Able to relax and spend time with some family and friends and things. So it was great. And I've just been news of the baby, transitioning, just kind of racing and not racing, and just kind of where I'm at in life, where Anina's at in life. Just really had some new thoughts. Like everything, I've kind of been gearing up towards Masters Nationals. Anina had a great showing there last year, and I had my 35th birthday on the 3rd. So I'm now eligible to race national or Masters, and I was going to go. That was a big plan to go this year, all winter, all spring, beginning, training for it. That's
Right.
what all the training's been kind of gearing towards. And we had this discussion. It's like, I haven't registered. I haven't really looked at the courses. I've had people offer places to stay, but I haven't really followed through with anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm training hard.
Right.
But it's like, I'm missing that vital component of like, I'm just not focused. I just don't have any clear goals. I don't have any
Right.
clear outlined goals. I just I'm getting faster, but what's the course need? What objective? What do I actually need to be training here? And it's like, I haven't really put forth a lot of that effort. So it really got me thinking. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that, but it took some analyzing for me, because that's not typically like me to be like
Right.
that. So it's like, well, maybe my heart's not in it. Maybe my head's not in it. Like, maybe I need to just pull back and continue what I'm doing. I'm loving racing with the new team. The guys are great. The attitude and the atmosphere is really, really fun and positive. But maybe I just need more of that. Just do the local stuff and ride with friends and just stay positive and not really have that big, heavy goal.
Yeah.
Right?
Which that's hard, right? When it's kind of like you've been saying you're going to do this for so long, and then it's kind of, there's a heart change or just a overall just desire.
It is hard.
changes.
It's hard to admit it, I think, for me. For me personally, it was hard to say, man, my heart's not in it. my head's not in it. Like, yeah, I still love the bike. I still love training. I still love riding and racing and performing.
Yes.
But maybe I just don't care too much this year about that. Like, maybe just lay it down a year. Like, this is the very first year that I'm even eligible to go to this specific event.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there will be plenty more years, right?
Exactly.
There's a lot going on this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're expecting. That's the first, we're going to be brand new parents. Now, granted, it's this summer and not even close to when you're due, but like, why can't we just enjoy each other and do something else? I don't know. Like, maybe take a trip that time, non-cycling related, or ride for fun or whatever. Explore.
Right. Yeah.
So
changes priorities a little bit, which can be hard sometimes. Like
so I'm actually feeling pretty good about that.
Mm-hmm.
And put some other items, some other events, I guess, not necessarily races, but maybe events. Just kind of ideas of them. Just, do I want to do that? Do I want to tackle that? Do I want to just like be more just open and organic and just like have good fitness, train for fun? And if something comes up and calendar's clear and it's not a stressor, sure, I'll go. And like, those, sometimes I perform really well like that too. Like, last minute, just there's no stress involved, so those are fun. I think that's kind of where I'm leaning for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And I'm kind of hearing a lot of this is just kind of learning to know yourself and how you operate best. And
definitely doesn't mean hanging up race wheels. It just means clearing my mind and allowing space, priority space, for really important things.
Yeah.
Not that, racing was always tier one. It wasn't. But it just takes up a lot of mental energy, a lot of mental space. So
it's very true.
But yeah. What about you? You got anything like, I know baby obviously is priority one for you. House hunting is priority, is pretty high up there.
Yes.
You got anything that like kind of like, after the baby, kind of develop that routine? How do we get back into normal life or new normal? How do we develop the new normal with baby and all that?
Well, I think it'll be good that we're having this discussion on goals today, because goals is something I've always struggled with. Just to be quite honest, it's just I don't know. I think part of it is I don't I don't like the word goals. It just feels really I don't want to say sterile, but it just I don't know. It never has felt inviting to me for some reason.
Well, it's rigid.
It's rigid, and maybe
it can be.
Yeah, that's part of it. So to answer your question, I really don't have any like goals right now. So I'm really hoping with our conversation, it'll really perhaps ignite some things within me, some just help get those juices flowing to think about it.
That's great. I mean, maybe not even goals. Maybe they're just like we said, or like kind of I mentioned, just events on the radar. It could be something brand new, foreign to you. It could be rekindling an old fire, that kind of thing. So that'd be fun. Like, I think that'll be kind of cool to see if this conversation does that for you, or in the coming weeks, or who knows? It might be coming years.
Yeah, and maybe it's going to plant a seed, and we'll see how well it grows.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned maybe I did or didn't leading into this, but so the main topic that we kind of want to discuss today is goals and goal setting. We kind of have, they're very foundationally similar in how our coaching styles and how they use goals and goal setting and working with clients, whether it's athletes or other individuals. So I think one of the things that I want to talk about just as we get going is maybe kind of just set some foundation things here, like some definitions of what goals are and what types of goals there are, how you would implement them and stuff like that. And then we can kind of dive in a little bit deeper. I think
that'll be good.
Okay. I guess just to start off, like for me, in the sports psychology world and the athletic world, and really this is can span across from athlete to a lot of things. You can apply this to pretty much any area of life. But there's three main types of goals, and that's going to be your process goals, performance goals, and outcome goals. So the process goals are going to focus on just improving like form, technique, strategy, very, very personal things,
Okay.
And then performance goals are going to address like an overall personal performance. Like I want to run faster. I want to ride my bike faster. I want to ride at this power number. I want to.
So it's like more stuff you can control, kind of, I guess.
Yeah, but you have to use the process goal to develop, your technique and your form and your strategy and your strength and those things to like get a PR, like personal best or personal record, to my 5K run time to get it incrementally down. So that's performance goals. I want to run a 5K at such and such pace, or I want to bike a 40-kilometer time trial in this amount of time. So that's performance.
Okay.
And then an outcome goal kind of uses those other two components and then now puts it in a comparison area. Like I want to podium, I want to place top 3 in this event. I want to win this event. So that would be like, I want to ride at this time and then that time should win the race for me. So that's how you would use all of them together.
Okay. Yeah, because you bring up a good point that, I've heard people before, it's like their outcome goal is, or their goal they'll say is, just for example, like, I want to lose weight. I'm like, okay, so that's the outcome, but what are the steps, the action steps we're going to take to help get you there, right? Because it's like that on its own, like, isn't enough. So that's kind of what you're saying, why you need those other steps as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, well, that's awesome, but like, I want to win the race. I want to lose weight. Like, okay, well, how do you get there?
Yes.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do to get there?
Yeah, which can be challenging because you have to do some self-reflection. I know, especially with a lot of folks I've worked with on losing weight, it's like, oh crap, so now I got to really get down to the fine details. I know I have one person I work with who's like, oh man, here we go. I have to start thinking. And I'm like, yes, we got to start thinking because that sounds like a great goal. And it is, but what are you going to do to get yourself there? Which I think is the challenge or the task that can be a little challenging to get there. But
well, yeah, I think that goes into there's a lot of things that are, I mean, with a great coach, having the help of a coach or sports psychologist or a mentor or whoever, anyone that kind of understands the principles of goal setting and knows how they're beneficial should know how to use them properly, right? To motivate and to educate their client or athlete, whatever, to help them reach that goal, right?
Yes.
Like you can't push the pedals for them. You can't put the fork down for them. You can't make them exercise. Whatever steps that are outlined on the way to reach that goal, you can't do it for them, but you can say, this is why it's important because it's hard. Yeah, I understand that, but it's the steps necessary to get you to your goal.
Yes.
The goal that you outlined, the goal that you brought to me, right? So I think that's the important thing too, is like
reminding them that
this is yours, not mine. Like,
yeah,
I'm not emotionally tied to this goal. You should be.
That's very true. And I know like sometimes it's even helped, and I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit. It just came to me, but of sometimes having clients envision what that life is going to look like for them, what's going to be different, and really have them embody that. Like, what will you be doing? What will you be saying? How will you be showing up in this world? If you were to lose the weight, for example, to really help them get into that feeling of what it's gonna
embody
bring
it.
for them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Feel it.
Yes.
I mean, sense all the emotions in that.
It's like you're making it come alive. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You're there in the moment. But I know,
yeah,
I love
so
that
I think
part
that
of
kind
it.
of goes, really well to like what are some of the benefits of using goal setting. So having goals, they're gonna like enhance your focus and concentration. They're gonna boost your self-confidence, and that's gonna just be by hitting those incremental marks that we set along the way to that big carrot goal.
Right.
Like we're gonna build confidence every milestone that we hit along the way. Like if I do this, and this, goal will be met. So if I hit the first one, oh, okay, yeah. If I hit the second one, I'm doing the right thing. So if I just keep this up, I'll be there.
Right. And that you bring a really good point to like expand on that a little bit is the importance of setting like a realistic goal.
That's
and
huge.
having
Realistic
those,
is so important. I think that's often overlooked. Yeah.
right. And having like sometimes those quick wins and victories are important in the initial stages because it kind of propels that person to keep pressing on. So I think it's a really important piece for me to always remember when I'm working with people. It's like, let's set a small goal first so you can have that kind of excited moment, that victory.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing. Like, you can always revisit this. It doesn't mean like, oh, I hit that one and I aimed really, really low and now that's my life. Like, no, let's relook at these goals and set a new one,
Exactly.
Some more benefits would be they prevent and help manage stress because you have kind of an outline to follow, right?
True.
So you have that's going to be like, well, what do I do now? It's like, well, I know. So stress is going to be managed. And so you're going to prevent and take care of a lot of that. Mm-hmm. It's going to create that PMA, one of our favorite things, that positive mental attitude, right? Because you're going to get those incremental gains. You're going to get that steady, like even if I have a weight loss goal of whatever, to hit, if I have a big number to lose or a little number to lose, well, even those small incremental, those first few pounds to drop off, we're gonna feel good about that.
Yes, so true.
And then that's gonna go into the next one, which is gonna increase our intrinsic motivation. So like we feel good internally. We're not gonna be. It's no longer gonna be like, well, people are gonna like me more, or I'm gonna get a promotion, or I'm gonna get whatever if I lose the weight or if whatever. So it's going to build yourself up from the inside.
That's true. That's a good point.
And then just overall in performance is going to improve. So if you're an athlete, obviously you're going to be getting fitter, stronger, faster. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're whatever profession you're in, whatever area of life you apply these goals to, you'll just naturally enhance and naturally get better, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
If you're a photographer, if you're an artist, if you're whatever, the more practice, and I mean, obviously we're going to set goals for improvement, so we're going to get better, and that's a good thing.
Right. It's like that gradual change leads to permanent change.
Yeah. So our skills and techniques and strategies and are all going to improve. So that's going to be, we're going to be be kind of more valuable in that field as an athlete, or like I said, just across whatever span it is, you're just gonna be your value goes way up.
Right. So that's a good point.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think one of the things from there, do you want to talk about SMART goals?
Yeah,
I kind of want to hit on
goals.
that.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of like the next piece of, okay, so how do you really make this? How do you start? Where do you start from? And a lot of you've probably heard of the SMART goal acronym before. Is it a specific goal? Is it measurable? Is it action-based, realistic, and time-bound? And so kind of just allowing yourself to ask those questions when you are setting in the beginning stages of setting up your goal, because when you have all these elements within your goal, it increases the likelihood of you having success in whatever goal you choose to focus on. And so that's, I know a lot of times with people we work on, and I keep going to the weight loss one, that one's been on my mind a lot, but just the measurable, like when do you want to lose those, those 20 pounds, like how can we break that into like little steps? So it's like, okay, a pound every 2 weeks or whatever like that, just kind of making it like way more concrete, and it's kind of
give an idea what it's going to look like.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Like it gives you room for error, room for growth. It doesn't mandate like perfection. Like it has that wiggle room built in, but it also says, no, the trend is consistently losing. So it's not like, oh, I lose 2 and gain 2. And it's like, no, we're going to be consistently losing. So you do have to show up consistently.
Yes, you're right. I mean, that's totally what it is. And I think when we have these different elements too, it helps people just, I don't know, engage more in reaching their visions and their values to what's important to them. And a lot of times too, I will ask people like, what is it about this goal that's really important to you too, to have them connect to that? For some people it's, I just want to spend time with, my grandkids again, or I want to be able to go, one of my gentlemen I work with is to go on a hike with my kids. They're always begging me to go hiking in the summer and I can't do it because of this extra weight. And so like that's been like his motivating factor. He wants, because when it boils down to is he wants to be there with his family.
Well, that's his why. I mean, you have his what of the goal of the weight loss, but now you have his why. So once you can tie a why to the what, that really,
the game
I think
changer.
Game changer. Exactly what you said. Now, of that SMART acronym, do you feel like one is more important, or maybe just more valuable to you, one that you see that really concretes it all?
I really feel like the realistic piece is what is the essential part to the client's success. And it's kind of just going back, I think, again, too, of just having those quick wins in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because that propels, at least that's for my work with working with people with this, it's having that quick gain, that quick victory really helps keep them motivated to keep going. They get excited about, I just lost that pound that, I said I was going to lose. And instead of 5 pounds that I always put the pressure on myself to do because it's not realistic, and then they give up. So to me, that's like the biggest one. I think it just builds self-efficacy and self-esteem overall in a person and keeps them on track.
Yeah. I do like that. And I think it was kind of like not a fair question, really, because they are so important together. But like, I do agree with you that realistic is vital to it. And then I also think being time bound is extremely important, because I'll lose 20 pounds whenever. Can I lose 20 pounds? Yeah, I believe I can. That's a realistic goal. I can do that. It's measurable. I can measure that, like all those things, but like, well, when are you going to do it?
Yeah.
What's the finish date? When is this going to be accomplished by?
You're right. It's like the difference between putting something on your calendar now versus I'll get around to it when there's time.
Yeah. Or when it's comfortable, when it's convenient, when
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, it's wintertime. I don't need the beach body till summertime.
Right.
So I'll start, but then it's like, well, I'll start in June. Well, whoa, I need the beach body. It's like, I need to have already been doing the foundational work. I got to kick sugar to the curb, or I got to start an exercise routine because I don't know how to do that.
Right.
I don't even walk 3 minutes, it's like, or whatever, or some people, it could be something completely different. Like, I want to have my run time down here because I, register for a race, and, register for your first 5K or a half marathon or your first marathon, whatever it is. Like, maybe that's how you bound it to a specific thing. Like, well, that thing I already paid money for and booked a hotel room for,
Right.
and I have to travel to, and I've already told 50 people that I'm doing. Now I'm a little more committed to it.
Very true. Very true. And I think when you talk about the commitment piece too, it reminds me of just, I always have my clients write out their goal. And I have some people who are like, no, I have it in my head. And I'm like, no, really, there's so much value in writing it down so that you yourself can see it, because it just makes it come alive more for you, because you're writing it down. And then taking it the next step further and not just burying it in all your papers, but putting it up somewhere. Like we talk about that in other podcasts of ours, of just putting it up so you can see it every day.
Yeah, it's in your face every day.
It's in your face, yeah.
Read it out loud.
Yes.
Hear it every day.
Yeah.
And put an I to it. I will do this, or I am doing this,
Exactly. Change it from, I might do this, I'm going to try to do this.
It'd be awesome to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think having somebody to be accountable to, whether it's a friend or a coach or just those 50 friends you told about the race you're doing, it keeps you on it.
I think that was the next step, is like you said, write it down, put it in front of your face every day, read it every day, but talk about it.
Yes.
Tell people. You don't have to tell the whole world, but you better tell the people that you care about. That, we've mentioned this before, the Brene Brown thing. Even if it's just those 5 people that's opinions really matter.
Right.
That aren't going to judge me and criticize me and make fun of me or whatever, that they're going to support me and they're going to love me and they're going to check in with me, and they're going to hold me accountable to it. They're going to put my feet to the fire when I order the dessert at dinner, when
Right.
my goal is to lose the weight by such and such time, or whatever,
Yeah. So, because it's like they're holding that vision, that space for that vision that we've told them that we want for ourselves. And that's a huge game changer
Yeah.
too.
Completely.
Yeah. So,
I think one of the things I want to touch on was really important is, it kind of just segues really well with what we were just talking about. Just, it's going to be guidelines for setting effective goals.
okay.
So this is just something kind of like in that sports psych world. And I think really the difference between how life coaching and sports psychology differ in this are so minute. It's pretty much, I mean, its goal setting is pretty foundational
yes.
in both fields. So really we're just going to emphasize the process and performance goals, and their priority and is going to rank way higher than the outcome goal.
Okay.
So by doing that, if I hit my process goals, I hit my performance goals, outcome goal will just be a result. It will just be because I do that, right?
Exactly.
So the focus, I don't have to worry about winning. I don't have to worry about how hard you're training or whatever. If I just do my stuff, then the outcome should follow, right?
Right.
So, and then very next thing, just like what we talked about, SMART goals, specific, measurable goals, rather than the just do your best, right? I think that just do your best I think there's just so much that can be missed there, because your best what today, your best tomorrow, how you feeling?
There's so much room for wiggle
Are you
room.
confident today? Are you, did you have a big blow to the ego so you don't feel so hot, I think moderately difficult. They need to be challenging, but also very, like you said, they need to be founded in reality. Like they got to be realistic. Like if I'm running 10-minute miles, I better not set a goal to go to the Olympics. Right.
Right. Maybe not quite yet. It may be down the road, but just
but we can always reevaluate.
Exactly.
I got to see where my actual limiters are. I see where my actual performance goes, what my actual upper limits are, but they got to be founded in reality. Like 2020 Olympics, they're right around the corner. That's not one to shoot for, right?
Exactly.
Like if I'm just getting off the couch.
Right. Like don't do that to yourself. It's just,
right.
it's going to hurt you in the long run.
I'm always one to champion big dreams, but they better be founded in reality. Like I'll support you to the moon, but you better be a little realistic.
Exactly.
I love a great challenge, but
right,
reality is kind of key.
have a key part there. Yes.
Positively focused goals instead of negatively focused goals. I think that's pretty important. Just we don't have to touch on that too much, but just positive mental attitude, like, and your why should be based in a positive thing instead of, negative stuff. So
yeah. And kind of like speaking confidently of what you will do, I think is important, even if it like kind of framing it as if it were already true for yourself too, to make it come alive more for yourself.
And kind of, this is another thing that we've kind of talked on is, long-term objectives and short-term goals, kind of how they go back and forth. So you have that, long-term one, but then you set those incremental short-term check-in goals along the way. So,
like I'll typically do like 1 week out, like a week out, like we're going to check back in a week and see how you did with this like action step. Yeah. And then keep going. Is that kind of how you do it too?
Yeah. So those action steps are exactly right. Those are process goals. This is like, all right, these are the things we're going to do. This is where we want to end up by the end of the week. These are the things we got to do every single day. Did you do the things every single day? So that's a check right there. Did you just do the work,
Right.
And then check in. How'd you do? Like, oh, we actually made some better gains than we thought, or we didn't. So we still have you got to allow for, depending on what the goals are, if it's like a weight loss goal or a running performance goal or something like that, depending on where we're starting from and what our goal is, you might see like really good gains early, right?
True. That's a good point.
So, and then you got to think about like super high end elite. Tour de France just started this weekend. So if we're talking about these type of athletes, they're not going to see huge gains right off the bat because they're already at such a high level. So we're looking at like very marginal gains. So that's something to think about too. Like, don't necessarily readjust in goal just because of bigger gains early on. Allow time and space for that to like slow down. And so you got to, that should be the coach's role to understand that and know like, okay, I am expecting bigger weight loss in the first few weeks, and then it's going to get harder to lose the last few pounds, or my run time is going to dramatically get faster, and then it's going to be harder to get those last little bits out of it. So
I
think that's
a good point.
Yeah. Check in, allow for that wiggle room, but kind of, know what you got to double down on some things. So,
Very true.
And then practice in competitive goals. And the competitive doesn't necessarily have to be, obviously this is coming from the sport world, but it can be performance in anything, right? So it could be, like we said, artist, or it could be giving the speech, or it could be losing weight or whatever. So
very true. Yeah.
So you kind of just, develop, focusing, you focus on skills and then different things. So, and how to perform optimally. So that's kind of how all that plays.
Yeah. And I'm curious, like, do you ever use like the confidence ruler with any of your athletes or clients?
Yeah, that's a really neat topic. So do you want to kind of tell us what that is?
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of times when someone is setting a goal with me, I'll ask them like, what is your confidence level as far as this goal? So I'll say from 0 to...
Is this like okay, just for conversation purposes, we've kind of been using weight loss. I guess we can use kind of both, like a weight loss and a run time, I think.
Okay.
So does this mean like I'm going to say, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds. That's my goal. So...
Yeah, so they've given me like the real specific goal of what they want to do. Like, I want to lose 20 pounds by, March 31st. That's kind of like their big overarching goal kind of thing. And so then we'll break it down to those action steps, like what's that going to require them to do that. And then once all that's said and done, I ask, what is your confidence level on a scale of 0 to 10 for you reaching this goal? So 0 being...
not at all.
And 10, like, yes, I'm off
Piece
the
of
charts.
cake.
I got this.
Yeah.
And so the important part for me of doing this is to figure out if their confidence is high enough. So my cutoff mark is typically between like a 6 and 7. Like if they say I'm a 4, then to me that shows their confidence level is not quite there yet. And so I'll say, hey, let's maybe reevaluate this goal so we can make it something that can be, beneficial, be helpful for you. But I'll also couple that with, like what made it a 4 for you and not a 3? And what would it take to get it to like a
process?
Exactly. Like what would it take to get it to a 5.5 for you? So really helping them tease out like, well, why did I say that? And what would help get me to that next level too? And it seems to really help.
Will you readjust the goal, or will you have the conversation with them and help build that confidence?
Well, so a lot of times I'll do like some brainstorming with them. So like, okay, it sounds like this goal right now may just be a lot for you to kind of bite off. So let's look at how we can make this more incrementally effective for you in your life. And so I know like I had one person I worked with who was like, you know what? I really feel like 20 pounds was just too much for me. I'm going to say 10. I'm going to say I'm going to work on 10 pounds. And then that moved his confidence level to an 8. Because he's like, I feel like I can do this. And really what behind it all was that in the past, he's always just said 20. That was his magical number.
Okay.
But it was just, he never got there. And so it just made him feel like, I'm probably still not going to get there.
So you as the coach might say, okay, we may revisit, like this, I think really key. as the coach, we're not setting goals for our clients.
No.
So I'm not even suggesting that you, the coach, are going to hold on to the 20 for them. But you know that we might revisit 20 pounds after we hit the initial 10.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Because that's kind of building that confidence.
Because their confidence will be built. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's founded in, even if 20 was realistic for them to actually be able to, they had to believe it.
Right.
So we had to change reality for them, meet them where they viewed reality, 10 pounds.
Exactly. Yes. And you were right.
Yeah.
And it's all about, and how you said, like, we don't make it for them, because it is. They're in the driver's seat.
I think
and
that's really dangerous. I think.
Yes.
I think that happens a lot. Like, I don't really know. Like, well, what area do you want work on? Or if it's athletic, obviously we kind of know where they want work on, and the coach just says, I think you should do this. I think you can ride this time. I think you can do this many watts. I think you can run this pace.
Right, because there's no buy-in. When someone else is telling you to do it, it's not coming from within.
Yeah. And then it becomes extrinsically motivated, all the work going into it. I got to please my coach. I got to please my life coach to lose the weight. They're going to be mad at me, And
exactly.
That's kind of goes back to our effective goal setting of like, well, that's a negatively focused goal, like to people please.
Right. And I think like the deeper part of all this too is that through setting the goals and through going on this journey, I think it really helps people a lot that I've worked with. I know, just from speaking from experience, is really just, I think just becoming more in tune with themselves and what they want and what they desire. And that's just, I think it's because it's like they're slowing down, they're setting something that they can really, really manage for themselves. I don't know. I just feel like it's really built a lot of confidence, a lot of self-esteem in the people I've worked with.
I think one of the areas that I like to work, when weight loss is an issue, that's something that I'm dealing with my athletes and clients. Mm-hmm. If weight loss is the goal, I view that as an outcome goal. And I look at like process and performance goals as something like, and just let weight loss happen. And let's work on things like eating clean, or let's look at slowing down our eating. Let's look at rest, recovery, sleep hygiene, exercise. So really what I'm doing is helping form and change lifestyle change into a much more healthy, positive lifestyle. And through all those modalities, weight loss just happens,
Right, because they're not so hyper focused on that thing.
Yeah, and then it's a lot more fun. They have a lot more buy-in. They are motivated. They see how each change is positively affecting them. They feel the energy come up. They feel the weight come off. They see it come off. And then when you plateau on weight, because I think it's still very important that's a measure to check in on. If you plateau, we can kind of look at it like, hey, well, let's go get a DEXA scan and let's see if we're putting on some fat-free mass. Maybe that number on the scale isn't reflecting, what we think, but let's see what's really going on. Oh, well, yeah, okay. You only lost 3 total pounds, but you lost, 10 pounds of body fat and you gained 7 pounds of muscle. So there's our 3 difference,
Exactly. Sometimes it's almost like looking at it from another angle.
Right? Yeah, that math was right.
Yeah. Like, wait, was that right? Yeah, it's almost like looking at it from another angle, right? Because sometimes it's like you kind of get stuck. It's like the scale keeps saying this is happening. It's like, well, let's shift.
But we're working out also. We're gaining muscle mass. So that's good. That's a good thing.
Right. So that's another part where you kind of come back and reevaluate. Like, wait a minute, what is going on here?
There's so much more that goes into that number.
Yes.
I think when weight loss is the goal, body fat is what we tie it to. Right. It's like, well, what about my bones? How much do my bones weigh?
Exactly.
What about my blood? I got blood and organs and
so much
muscle
to consider.
And okay, there's a lot to consider here.
That's very true.
So I think you can just alleviate so much stress if you just have those conversations.
Yeah, and we mentioned this earlier too, but of thinking about the why, but it just made me think too, to help keep that success going for somebody, of just, again, that why I feel like it's such a crucial piece is to bring up again, I know I was working with somebody before who it was like, I want to lose weight. And really when we got down to the nitty gritty of it is they wanted to lose weight only because they thought that they would be liked better by people and people would be accepting of them more. And so it really wasn't what this person truly wanted for themselves. It was more of, it's like they wanted it for themselves, but it was their motive for it wasn't, wasn't compelling enough for them to keep that drive going. And so that I was so cool to get that out because for this person, it was just like, whoa, I didn't even realize that was really what it was. So her why really wasn't lining up with, I guess, like what she truly.
Well, that's the difference between intrinsically and extrinsically motivated.
Yes.
Like sometimes it's great to have that extrinsic motivation as a initial fuel source,
Yes.
Get the fire lit and then let it become my own passion and my own purpose. And that is exactly what I want to touch on next was what's the problem with an outcome only goal, right? If
Yes.
my only goal is to lose weight or my only goal is to win the race, I think the race one is such a good scenario because like if I'm training my guts out, like I'm not even paying attention to my family. I am isolated myself and all I do is train. My eating is perfect. My sleeping is perfect, and I lose or I don't win. But everything I did was like maybe not healthy to the point, but like I could not have been any more dialed. Right. And I still get beat. Then you just got beat on the day, but you checked every single box of the process and performance goals. You got faster, you got stronger, your technique is so much better, your skill is so much higher, and you just got beat on the day. Like if my worth is based in winning,
Right.
That's, you are
blow.
So set up for failure,
Yes.
versus like, I did incredible. Look at how much faster I got. Look at how much better I got. And then, oh man, I got second. Like, yeah, that time, historically should have won, but this guy or gal crushed it,
Yes.
Like, let's go back to the drawing board and see what we can tweak and change, And then you feel good. You still feel positive about your performance and we can have a much better positive analysis afterwards to say, well, how can we get that top step? I think it's within, it's within reach.
Yes. Yeah, that's such a great example of, and I think we've all probably been in that boat before. I know I have, where it's like, I just want to win, or I just want to do my bet, or whatever. And it's like totally sets you up because then that was all you were focusing on instead of all the processes it was going to take to get there.
Yeah. And feeling so good about yourself along the way, getting there, checking those boxes, seeing the times drop or whatever, or the weight drop, whatever it is. So
you're right. And it's just that whole part of being able to track your progress over time. Like you reduced your weight or you lost inches or I have a better peace of mind now. It's just important to have those little, what do we call them sometimes? Those little cookie jar moments that you like.
Oh, those are huge. Yeah. Like when it's really hard to get out the door to go train, or if it's really hard to not order the piece of cake because everyone at the table ordered one, It's like, nope. I'm on my way to. I set a goal and I'm gonna do it. So
exactly.
I think one of the things so there's a 5-step process we like to follow for setting and implementing goals. So obviously we set our goal first. That's going to be step 1. We just kind of develop all the tools that we just talked about, the SMART goals. So I think an outcome goal is okay to have. It's good to have, but we need to set the process and performance goals along the way.
Yes.
And we got to secure commitment. So we talked about, we got to get that buy-in. We got to find the why. And then we got to identify barriers and action plans to circumnavigate those barriers, overcome those barriers, whatever verbiage you want to use. We got to identify them. We got to know what they are. If it's weight loss and desserts as the barrier, well, maybe I just shouldn't go out.
And you bring up a good point because that is something that I think is so crucial of just what is the barrier? And then if this is the barrier, asking like, what is your backup plan or your contingency plan?
Yeah.
So when you're encountered with this, what can you do to help yourself through that situation?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, you don't freak out when you're through a barrier because it's like, oh, I've already thought this one out. Obviously not 100% of the time, but if you've already had the juices kind of flowing in your brain, it's like, oh yeah, I said I was going to do this if this happened.
And most of the time, you're going to see success in that. If you put the thought and the plan of action in place, like for me, like when I'm trying to cut weight or lose a little bit of weight, and I got a sweet tooth, and
Yes, you do.
I'll admit it, and
Yes.
I have to be very clear that no sugar is allowed in the house because I'll eat it.
Yes, so will I. So it's a
especially
bad
those first few days
combination.
when you kind of just have that steady flow every day or every couple of days, just a little thing, like
a little drip of sugar.
yeah, well, it's powerful, but
It
like,
is.
or whatever it is, if it's training, whatever that obstacle is, you got to know what your triggers are, and is your why more powerful than that trigger?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think too, and even when I have people talk about their barriers, I also ask them like, what are your strengths? What are some of your strengths that can help you through this too, to have them identify that?
Yeah. So the next couple, just real quick here, are obtain feedback and evaluate your goal. So obviously I think that's going to be like, use a coach, friends, whatever, to people that you can be accountable to, whether they're just really important people in your life, or you do have a coach, life coach, sports psychologist, whoever you want to implement, and have that check-in with. We can evaluate like what are and have that talk, and then reinforce goal attainment. So like we just use those things like how are we going to, once we get that goal, how are we going to keep it? How are we going to keep that weight off? How are we going to keep our times good? Like it's a lot easier to maintain than to keep doing the work. So
right.
Yeah, so you got to have that plan it as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I want to read you something. I think it's really, really important. Like I came across this. He's a sports psychologist from the University of Utah, Dr. Keith Henschen, and I was reading through this, and it really kind of caught my. I was like, what? Okay.
Caught your attention.
Yeah. And so when he does his consulting process, and he's worked with some really, really high-end people. So he's been a consultant for the Utah Jazz NBA team for 26 years. He's worked with a lot of professionals, world-class performers, and Olympians as well. So
yeah.
So he's good, right? He's
Right.
not just like just graduated barely, and this is my thoughts. Like,
right.
Published lots of works. So this guy's been around, knows his stuff. So he has 5 cardinal skills that he believes should be mastered.
Okay.
And taught and learned in this very specific order because they build on each other, is what he says. So relaxation, concentration, imagery, self-talk, and pre-competition mental routine. But wait a minute, we're talking about goal setting, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's what he says. He goes, you'll notice that goal setting was absent from that list.
Yes.
And it's like, well, okay.
Why
is that? So
Yeah.
flip back, and he kind of talks about it, and he says, never one time has he had an elite athlete tell him when they were performing optimally that they were thinking about their goal. Not one time. So, and it's not that he doesn't use goals. It's just that there's a time and a place for them. They're often misunderstood, and they're overstated. So I think he says goals and expectations are important in practice situations where there are opportunities for do-overs.
For do-overs.
But
okay.
He said in the heat of competition, if a goal is not attained, then it often leads to immediate negative thinking, which then mitigates confidence. So what are your thoughts on that? And so just real quick, that was, again, Dr. Keith Henschen, and that was a little blurb out of Expert Approaches to Sports Psychology. So I'll put a link in the show notes for that if anyone's interested.
Yeah, so my thoughts on that. Geesh, like I have never really thought about that much. I mean, I do see what he's saying on like some of the different things that people can use, like how like the visualization, the pregame kind of competition of how you're getting yourself ready, and the imagery, like some of those different things, how those can be really useful.
Relaxation,
Yes.
concentration, imagery, self-talk, and pre-competition mental routine. So if this goes outside of sport, which I think is completely, applicable, you might change that from pre-competition to pre-event or
Yes.
insert here your thing. So
yeah. Okay. I'm going to think about this for a minute. 'Cause I've never really thought about all those pieces kind of coming together for a person rather than like focusing on the goal. But it's like, I totally see what he's saying, that it can.
I think he's saying like once you build in those routines of like know how to relax, know how to focus and concentrate, you have that self-talk built in, like, because that's going to be like when going get tough, right? Like, but as an elite athlete, and granted, he's talking elite athlete, I think that's really important here. They know their goals. They know what I'm in for. If I'm on an NBA team, my goal is to win the game and go to the championships and win the championship. If I'm a cyclist, it's, to win the race or to win the tour or to win whatever my event is, right? Like, so he's talking, if you're a business owner, what's your goal? Like, make money, right? Or to get product out there. If I'm an author, sell books.
So is it almost kind of like, I guess it's almost like the processes to kind of get you when you do these things, it's going to help you reach your goal, basically.
Yeah. I think let outcome goal be a product of the work you do.
Yeah. So that kind of makes more sense. I've had a minute to chew on it because I've never heard that before.
Well, and also he's talking about in the heat of the moment, in competition, like, what are you thinking about right now? You're in flow state. You are just like, NBA players. Every single shot you're not even looking.
Right,
you just
just
chuck them
nailing
out there.
it. Yes.
Everyone's going in. What are you thinking about? Not their goals. They're just in flow. So I think it was kind of neat. I just wanted to throw that in there. And
yeah, I like it. It's a whole new perspective. Another way to look at things too. And you never know, that may be what works for some people, because some people may have that like kind of icky feeling about goals because it brings up a lot of negative things for them.
Yeah, I don't think that approach applies to everyone.
Right.
Obviously, I think the key component there is elite. Or it doesn't even have to necessarily be elite. It just means like I've been in the process for a long time. I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like as a cyclist, like I know to win races. I know to train. I know the goal. So
it almost feels like these are the steps that can get you even like closer to something, closer to that goal.
Yeah.
Because you being mindful of those things.
Yeah. And another thing that he really touches on those cardinal skills is their life skills.
Yes.
So once I learn to relax and focus and, self-talk, like I can apply those to every single area of my life. And I think that's the point that he wants to make is I can apply this universally to my life.
Yes.
Develop goals around that, to that, so whatever area I want to invest energy into, I have life skills, cardinal skills. I like that.
It's very like transferable to all areas of your life.
And that's why he calls them cardinal skills. I mean, they are foundational to my life, and I can take them young, old, anywhere and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that other side to it. And it just makes me think about just the value in doing those things, the self-talk, the imagery, just the,
I think those are all really and we've touched on pretty much all of those topics in previous podcasts. And it's like, they are foundational. They're so vital to life. I mean, they are life skills. They're not athlete only or, business, whatever. Like they're not pigeonholed into just a specific topic.
Exactly.
They are absolutely life skills.
Yeah, for everybody. Yes.
I think that kind of wraps everything up. I think we hit on a lot of really, really good stuff. And is there anything that we maybe glossed over, didn't touch on that you want to hit?
Man, no, I honestly don't think so. I really don't think so. I think you did a nice job earlier kind of summarizing it and what that would kind of look like for somebody who's trying to put a goal together. And I think it is just kind of starting like you said, starting from your why and then like breaking it down into those goals for yourselves and looking at the barriers and looking at your strengths and your confidence level through it all too. And who can you be accountable to for it? So it's kind of like some quick steps, I think, that can help you.
Just a real quick recap. I want to touch in. I know we said to see if the podcast would maybe kind of stir some things for you anything? Maybe
Oh,
a check-in
I'm on the
next
hot
week, or-
seat. Let's check in with me next week because I haven't totally. I mean, it is getting some things kind of going for me and some thoughts going, but I don't have like a solid one yet. But maybe that would be a great idea to do that next week, where I can check in and perhaps give an example of what my SMART goal is going to be. And that'll be good because it's going to help me be accountable because now I said I'm going to do it. So I got to do it.
All right.
Yeah.
I am writing that down in my notes.
Yes, I saw that.
The little show notes. It is line 1 for episode 12. Check in with Anina.
Dun,
So
dun, dun.
we will do that.
We will. That'll
no,
be good.
that's cool. I think I feel pretty good about everything. I feel a lot more confident in my decision with nationals.
Yes, it's good you got that out.
No, I do. Like, and this is where I revert. I kind of almost said it like, that doesn't mean I'm not going to go. I might still go. It's like, no, I feel good about it. Like, I want to go. Yes, I'll admit that. There's a deep part of me that wants to go and wants to sell out and wants to do that. But I think right now where I'm at in life, like, let's check in on it next year, and I think make a fun trip with the new one. So it'd be cool.
Yeah, that's good. It's good you caught yourself, right? Because
I almost reverted. I mean, that's the thing. It's just
it's like you
our
flip-flop,
habits.
and then it's exhausting because you're always flip-flopping. And it's like, let me just stand firm in this. This is what it's going to be. There's no trying. There's no striving. This is what it is.
Yeah, we got a lot of transitional things in our life going on right now. Like, we're looking for a house, and I want to be able to, like, I might have to skip a workout because we want to go to an open house. Things are flying, off the market right now. So we got to be able to go. So I can't make commitments to sell out. And mentally, I don't feel comfortable going to a big event, not having given it.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything you could have. Yeah. And I think you bring up a good point too. Like, it's okay to live. I don't know. I guess it's okay to have those two emotions, but it's kind of like teasing it out of, acknowledging having this emotion about it and this emotion, but which one is really going to be serving me at this time? Yes. And
that's a very good point, and thank you for bringing that up.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for supporting me in my decision, and I'm glad you made it through the episode, and you feel good. You look good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This was great to do this today.
Yeah, so again, everyone, thank you for sticking with us all the way to the end. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a review on whatever thing you use to listen, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher. We're kind of all over the Spotify.
Yes.
So thank you for that. We appreciate it. It really helps us out and get our message out. We have some good news coming in a few weeks.
Yes.
So we'll give you some more information on that as it gets closer. And with that, we'll see you in the next one.
All right. Bye, guys.
Peace.